So, and that's how it looks like. We pulled it from here to here with a lawnmower. We need to turn it around and move it into the shop. Okay, let's get the bike out, turn that thing around and put it into the workshop. So we finally moved it into the workshop, and it's so moist, damp. It's almost 100% humidity. It's awful. Everything suffers from condensation here. Anyway, got quite a bit to do. Get all the lift gear off, and then we're gonna clean the surface for that water pump. Get a light here. That doesn't look pretty, so we need to sort that. We need to make a bracket for the alternator. This is normally where the alternator goes. I'm thinking about putting a normal V-belt pulley on, because I have so many V-belts. I just find something short for here, for the water pump, for now at least. I don't know if I don't have a 4-rib poly V pulley. Yeah, it suffers a little bit from moisture. A bit of a wipe down with an oily rag, and it will look good again. So we need to make the exhaust flange. The flange which came with was a bit weird because the hole was too small and a bit off center. We need to get some fuel. We used one of these lawnmower tanks here because I dismantled a few lawnmowers, and this one is actually left over, which we hook up temporarily. It's got a fuel pump, so you can pump from elsewhere. Air filter. I'm going to use a cheap air filter because I have a good supply of cheap air filters. So I use a filter box of the cheap. What else? Well, getting the exhaust done, water pump, pulley, alternator, hook up a wire, do a bit of electrics and radiator, and then we should be good to go. Underframe, obviously. We're not going to leave it sitting on that pallet. We just make a simple underframe. The reason why I put it here because I can lift it here. So, and it's warmer in here, and it's not so dark. Anyway, let's carry on. I think we start with a water pump refitting and looking for a belt, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with the alternator. We fitted a fuel line, a temporary lawnmower tank, so we can fire it up and do a couple of checks. I can't run it for long because I have no cooling. Once everything is tight and not leaking, we fit a radiator. I don't know exactly where. We'll see how the pipe works out on the radiator. We'll see. Well, that's gonna happen tomorrow. It's late. Dinner time. Smoking a little bit. One cylinder is a bit down, I think. Need to look at the injectors. And quite a bit of smoke here. But yeah, the generator works. And we can find out. it seems on one cylinder the adjustment of the injector is not correct, because it's single cylinder injectors and it runs okay in idle, but as soon as a little bit more load comes on, it seems one cylinder is down. I did know there was something with that engine. A lot of smoke here. Generator works. That's good, because I haven't tested that before. So we need to figure out which cylinder is cold. And I don't have coolant in it, so can't run it for long anyway. But oil is dripping here as well. Need to figure out where that is coming from. Here. That's where it is. There is an oil pressure switch normally, and that's not properly in. Anyway, basically works. We put some coolant in, and then we just figure out which cylinder is colder. And there is a from the governor there is a basically just a rod which adjusts the volume of each cylinder. So if we either have a one injector which is clogged, which I don't think so, or let me turn that radio down. Sorry, music was too loud. Yeah, so one injector, it doesn't produce the volume. You can hear that. It's just running iffy. There can be air in it. Who knows? You don't know really. It's again, not knowing the history doesn't really help. It's relatively easy. You can take them out, and there is a procedure to adjust this the regulator rod. That's about it. Looking at the moisture, I think this is the coldest one here, because the other ones are drier. This is cold here. This is colder. So that's probably our corpus delicti here. Anyway, we'll pull the manual and have a look. It's apparently it's a simple fix. It basically runs. The most important thing is the generator is working. We got 400 volts out. We need to put some load on, but I think it's fine. Yeah, we just lashed up that lawnmower tank here, and this time we actually plugged on the heater, so maybe it's not smoking that much anymore. That injector is leaking here. Yeah, it's leaking here, so maybe it's just a loose pressure connection. Let's try that. There's fuel down there, so maybe that's just loose. Let's try that. Yeah, it was definitely loose. It was losing pressure. Let's try it again. Still doesn't run perfect. Sounding better. Maybe that was our problem. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds much better now. I think it sounds alright now. The problem was that the injection line was loose and it was losing pressure. It doesn't stink anymore now. And it sounds good to me. So we're going to stop that because we have no coolant. seems to work. So that was a relatively easy fix. The problem was it was losing, that was loose definitely, and it was losing injector pressure here. So that's the reason why the cylinder was cold. We can still see this is still colder than the other ones. We'll see what it does when we run full power. I cannot, because that's about the max I can run without coolant, so at least we dried out all the shit now. We have no exhaust either. So we're gonna hook up a radiator and put some coolant in, and then we run it for a bit and put some load on. Alright, success so far. So we got everything hooked up. Let's fire the light up. And seems to work. Yeah, everything seems alright. So let's stop that for a second here. Still no exhaust still no exhaust mounted, but yeah, we just hooked up a radiator here. It's nice and warm. Oh, that's 40 degrees. It's 42. Okay, so it's nice and warm. Yeah, it's not permanent, it's just on the pallet here. That's everything seems okay. I got a few leaks here. That's mainly fuel. Yeah, we need to do the exhaust. Yeah, we hooked up that radiator. It's just provisional to have some cooling. You can run it. Belt is just a normal belt wrapped over with the right size. We have any neutral, so we can't run single phase. We need to look at that. Yeah, it's all Chinese. Lots of sawdust in it, and but yeah, it seems to be alright. So looking good so far. Still a bit to go. Base frame, radiator mount. I don't know if I'll leave the radiator at this place, but seems alright for now. So let's fire it up again, and then we'll call it a day. It don't have a start button, so we're gonna do it this way. Looks alright to me. Working. Yeah, so tomorrow we're gonna do the exhaust. Get that thing a bit quieter. Doesn't stink that much anymore, so the shit is out now. Oil temperature is about 50 degrees, so looks good. Need an oil pressure gauge and a pressure sensor, so I can actually shut it down. We also need to fit a shut-off solenoid. I have one from a Kubota. Don't know if that fits. I don't know if the travel is long enough, because speed setting is relatively simple. You just set the stop here, and that's fixed at 1500 now, and the stop is this way. So I think I'll make it energized to stop, so it runs without power. That's what marine diesels do as well. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure if this solenoid is 100% duty cycle. I have another one, I need to look at that. We'll see. That's it. That oil is still dripping here. Yeah, that's the oil pressure port. It still drips a little bit. Anyway, that's it for today. we got it working. We make some power. I just had the cover open of this electric box here, and it was pretty full of sawdust. It says 22.5 kVA at 1500 RPM for 15 volts. Yeah, looking good. There's oil coming out here. Oil coming out of the turbocharger. That's probably the smoke. I just found out that the turbocharger is most likely the same as on the Skoda Octavia. There is a chap on eBay selling one. I think I'll just buy a spare. It's cheap. It's old stock, and I think I just buy it just to have a spare, because they are sometimes difficult to get, or if you need one you don't have one. Anyway, seems all working. Seems working so far. Still a lot to go, barring air filter, but at least we reached the milestone. It's running. Because if you buy components with sort of questionable history, you never know what you end with. And but yeah, that seems alright. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Until next time.